let's go to create a rendering for a material for the ground. So let's pick the ground model and let's go to create a new material because it's using the basic material. So let's create a new material standard, and this one is the ground. Okay, we go to the material and we can play with this one, and let's say that first of all, just to remember, we are going to have a reflection with a glossy, so we say that we have just two depth for the reflection layer. So about the color, we go to have a black color. So let's say that this one is completely black, and then we say that it's a little bit less reflective, let's say 40%. Roughness will be controlled by texture, so we leave in this way, and we say that we have just a little bit higher IRR for the Fresnel. Okay, so everything now will be controlled by the roughness map, so this one can be moved. So inside the texture we can go to create something else. So I'm going to use a texture map, so let's go for map file, and this one is the ice rough. Later we can move it. It is there inside the roughness. The ice rough is essentially a texture I just downloaded from textures.com. You can download it without problem. So let's go there, and it's the ice. Okay, you see how this is looking. It is something that is used for the ice, but we are going to use it for a different kind of result. Let's go to say to use just the lumens. By the way, it was working nice. So, and we can scale the UV. So let's say 0.5 and then 0.5 and 0.5. So we are not going to use just this one, so we go to use also a mixture for, a fractal and a pavement texture I just downloaded. So let's go to have another map file, and this one is the pavement rough. Okay, we need to choose another texture I just downloaded from textures.com. It's there, and it's the this one. Okay, you see it's something related to a pavement, so it's really nice. If we set this one there, we'll have just some details all over there, and we are going to scale it to have a different kind of result. So let's say 0.1, 0.1, 0.1 and 0.1. So we have a really high repetition all over. By the way, I like to blend everything. So let's say that we have a blend. So the blend is connected there. The first level is the first texture we prepared. This one is the second one. And the blend is going to use the add. And we say just maybe 20%. So we have a general roughness with some kind of strange shaping all over. By the way, I like to create some more differences there. So we go to, let's set to this one there. So we go to have another blend, because I like to use also procedural. So let's go for Fractal Noise. And let's say that this one is the map. So this Fractal Noise needs to be tweaked, and in this way we say that we go to have a really low value there. So 0.2, 0.2 and 0.2, so it's not so rough. And we go for a really low value there. So let's say the 0.01, 0.01, 0.01. So just a little bit. Let's remove the turbulence and the normalize for the value. We can go lower there, and we can have more contrast there. Okay. Then the last thing is to change the scaling. So 0.3, 0.3, and 0.3. So we have, you see, some strange macula all over the texture there. So we can blend the two maps we just created. So we go for another blend. The blend is connected there. And let's say that the first noise is there, the pavement is there, and then we go to tweak the blend there. Let's say that we have a multiply. So you see it's multiplying the effects all over the other. And we say that the mixture is lower to 70%. So it's partially present and we have some more variation all over. Okay. So also this one is done. So we have also a really nice pavement. Okay, so if we go in the lighting, remember that you can see this one with different lighting conditions. So that's, for example, the sunset. That's really nice too. Or this is the interior. You see, it's this one. And you see that the lighting is really, really nice. And everything is really fast. By the way, we have to tweak also the sampling and the other stuff. So let's wait for it. Let's go back. Okay. And Control S. So it's time to prepare some nice material for the tire. So let's move a little bit the camera. Okay, it should be enough. Okay, so it's time to play with the tire. We try to do something really nice with a really high quality rendering. So let's select this model and let's go to choose the texture. So we're going to use a layered material because I like to have some dust over the side there and the other gum material there. So let's say new material and we go for layer it. So this is the layered type. And let's say apply. Okay, everything is black, obviously. So let's go to this material. We need to work on the first material. So let's go for material, physical, and then we go for standard one. So this one is the clean tire. And it's connected to the base material. So the first one is this one. So we need a little bit more space so we can move there. Okay, so that's the first one. So the first thing is let's go to create a dark color for this one so we can tweak a little bit the material. So let's say that it's really dark, and then we have a little bit of roughness because we are talking about a gum, something like plastic or gum, so we have a little bit of roughness about the diffusion. You see that it's working in a really nicer way in this way. Let's go lower with the strength for the specularity, so it's not high reflective actually. 30% is enough. And let's go lower with the anisotropy. So we have some kind of anisotropy over the reflection. Let's go back maybe to the color. By the way, the color will be controlled by a series of textures, so don't worry about it. Okay, let's say that this one is the base to play with. So now we can create custom properties. The IRR will be a little bit higher, 1.6. So you see that's how it is looking. So let's start playing with the color. So color will be controlled by different maps. So it's don't worry about it. It can seem complex, but I will try to make it more visible than possible. So I'm going to use a multi-blend to use more maps to control the color. So let's go there and let's say multi-blend. So the color, the diffuse from color is controlled by a multi-blend map. Okay, first map. The first map is essentially the base color, and the base color will be the black. Okay, so we can go for a constant, a constant color, and let's say that this one is the tire base color, and it's connected to the layer 1. And the color is essentially a black color, so it's simple. Then, you know, we had before, later we have to move all this texture there. By the way, we had the, it was this one, okay, we can create a copy. You see that there we have a 1 number to say that it's connected to something else. So let's say that the color number 2. Okay, so this one is useful just if you like to have the color from this map over this one, and you can decide how much it needs to be visible. So there you see that we have the percentage. So for example, you can say that you like to have just for 15%. So it's giving just a little bit of color. By the way, it's not a problem, you can decide. So this is the base color. And the second one is the tire texture. So this one can be set to on when needed, or you cannot use it. It's on your own. You can decide if it is nice or not. Then we have a third layer. So in the multi-blend, we say that we have also the third layer. The third layer essentially is a noise. So we try to create some color variation using a noise, and the noise will be a fractal noise. So let's go there inside, and let's say that we go to create this color, and this one is a color, a gum color variation. Okay, so also this one can be scaled, and now we can change how it is looking. So let's say that we have no turbulence. So you see we have just some brighter area, and we say that we have there the white, and here we have the black, and then we say that we have a little bit lower increment to something like that. So you see some some darker area all around. And we say that this one is lower, so 0.2, 0.2, and 0.2. Sorry. Okay, so we have some more repetition all over the tire, and this one with this kind of color is used as a multiply. Okay, and this is a color variation. Okay, so you see it's starting to be really nice. We have to control the specularity too. So the specularity as a color, and then we go to use also the color variation we just prepared. So let's say that just if needed, we go for a multi-blend. By the way, we are going to use actually just 2 maps. So let's say that this one is the one that is controlling the specular strength, and we say that the first layer is a basic reflection value. So we go to have again a constant color, and let's say that this one is the basic reflection value. So you can use this one to control the reflection, and say it is used there. So actually we have nothing there, and this is the reflection level. It is white actually, and we go for 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5. So it's lower, you know, we have less reflection. And This is inside the first level, and the second one, you know, is the color variation we just used before, and we get to connect, as color 2. So let's say that this one is the reflection variation. So this one is connected to the color 2, and we go also there as a multiply. So we have some area where we have a little bit less reflection, but you know, it is essentially not so high. So we go for, let's say, 10%, so just a little bit visible. So we have some areas where we have a little bit less reflectivity. Obviously, you can work on different kind of stuff. It's not the best one. So I mean, you know, if you try to make some photos to tires, you have so many different lighting conditions, so many different tires, so you can have really different look. So don't worry about it. It is just a test, this one. So for example, we can have an higher value for this one to see more differences over the reflection. Okay, so next step is to control the roughness. Actually, the roughness is really basic. We go for multi-blend also for this property. So let's go for multi-blend, and we go to connect to the roughness. So again, let's go for a basic color, and this one is the basic, is the basic roughness. We go to connect to the layer 1, and the second one is nothing, so we go just for the first one, and the first one will be the basic color to have the roughness, and we go for 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3, 0, 3 and 0, 3. Okay, so that's the basic level we have for the roughness. Then we go to tweak the level. The first one is the color variation. So we're going to use the same, as second layer. And inside this multi-blend, we are going to use this one as an over. So we leave the over, but we say that this one is 20% visible. So let's say this is the basic roughness. This is the roughness variation. And then we continue working. Then now we go to use the side map to add some color variation, okay? As usually we have the area where we have the written stuff, the logo and stuff like that needs to have a little bit of love. So we go for a remap. So let's go lower to have a remap. We go to connect this one as an input. And this one is the third one, and we go to connect the remap. The third one is essentially a multiply. So let's say that this one is a multiply, and we are going to use this one as 100%, but we are going to change how the map is working. So let's go for a zoom. Okay, in the remap, we are controlling how the color are used. So we say that this one is completely white. We remove some anti-alias problem we have over this map. So we go to add a new point there. And this new point will have 0. So you see we are starting to have something. Let's go a little bit maybe lower. Okay. So we have, you see, some control over the roughness when we have just the text. Okay, so that's done. We have the right setup for the third layer. I like to add another layer to make some variation over the roughness. So let's say that we have a fractal noise to create some variation. So let's go for fractal noise, and this is the layer 4. So let's connect to the color, and we say that the last layer, the layer 4, is again used as a multiply. Okay, and you know, we go lower because where we have the multiply we'll have less roughness, so we'll have more visible reflection, and the noise can be tweaked. So let's remove the normalize. We go to completely white, so we use black and white, and then we go with the default value, but we go with a really low scale, so 0.025. So you see we have this kind of effects, and here we go lower to mid level, so we have some kind of color variation all over. So let's see what we have there. Let's see, for example, when we have a different lighting condition, we go for lighting, let's say there, and let's say that we go, this is the terragen one. Let's see, for example, with the interior, that's how it looks. And we have no bump at the moment. So the color variation we have actually are not so high. In this way you can have, you know, some nice coloring, because it's a really new type. But if you like, you can make higher color variation. I mean, if we select this one and let's get in the material. Okay, you know, that's the color variation, and here we have the multi-blend. That's the reflection. Okay, it's multiply 50%. We can say, for example, multiply 100%. This way you'll have more variation over the color. Let's say that we go to render just one area. Okay, for example, this one. You see, it's really nice actually. It's not bad. Let's say that there we have, that's the collaboration. This is the logo and text, and this is the rough variation 0.2. Let's say that this one, for example, is 100%. You see that we have really visible color variation. So you have to decide how much you like to have it visible. By the way, you have a really nice control, and if you like to create some more complex material, you have just to take care about a different color variation level. Okay, so it's really not complex to create something really nice. So let's get to add also the bumping, because actually we have no bumping over this material, and I like to have it. So let's set to close this one. We need a bump map. So again, bump map, it is connected there in the normal, and we go to have some noise created by the side bump. So we go, we can make essentially a copy. So let's pick this one, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Let's call it this one bump, because maybe we can need to treat this texture in a different way. But for the moment we can stay with the default value. Okay, so you see the bumping is acting in the right way, but it is really high visible. First of all, let's go lower with the bump. So let's say maybe 1 millimeter, so 0.001. So it's really low. Maybe to see more, we can go for 2. So it will be higher, and you see in action there the bumping. Okay, So we go a little bit to tweak the map. So we use a remap again. It is really nice to play with the remap to change how the map is looking. So we say that the lower is really low. Let's say minus 0.5. Okay, so you see we are removing a lot of detail from the texture there. I'm talking about anti-alias and stuff like that with the gray color we had before. And then we go to add, let's set the fit zoom, middle mouse button, and we go to add a new point. And this new point is around, let's say, something like that, and we go really high. So again, let's go a little bit higher. Okay, so you see it seems near to be completely black and white, and we have just a little bit of gray there. Okay, bump seems really high, so that's because, you know, it's too high essentially, but I think we have to go lower. By the way, for the moment we need to take care to have also something that can simulate the gum look. You know, this kind of gum has some variation over the surface, some irregularity. We can simulate this one with a cellular map. It's really useful in this case. So let's go for a cellular map. This one goes, later we can move it. So let's say that we have a blend. Okay, I use the tab key to have it. So let's say that this one is the first one, and this is the second one, and then we go inside there. So let's see this map, how it is playing. So we are essentially going to have a really low scaling. So let's say 0.01, 0.01, 0.01. So you see it's really little, and we see it, it's really high. So it is good to have the dots. We can have more frequency to have an higher repetition. And then we go to control the border. So we go for linear. That's the how the border is controlling. Let's go a little bit higher. So you see we have some contrast and some more space. And let's go higher with the border side. So we have some dots around. Then the bumping is still really high. I mean, you see it's completely changing everything. Let's go for 0.09, so it's 10 times lower, so it sure works better. So you see it means that you can go really near there and you have some nice details, but we have to control the blending because actually it's playing with just the first one. So let's go at 50% blending. So we have the texture there and we have also the noise. Okay, nice. So essentially we have partially done with the material, but there is something more I like to do. As we said before, I like to make this material a layered material because actually, everything is really clean. So you see there we have nothing. But if you like to have some kind of dust over this side of the tile, you can do it. And essentially you can do it in a really simple way. We have the layered material. So let's say first of all that we have essentially, we can move the camera, okay. We have essentially to play with our shader there. So we have the layered material. So we can go to play with the other material. So we go to create some simple material. So let's say that the material is a standard material. So first of all, let's try to clean up something. So this is a texture, we can move it there. And inside the material, we have texture. Okay. Okay, and we can move everything inside texture. Okay, back there. So we have a new standard material. Let's say standard, and it will be tire dust. It's connected as layer 1, and actually we have this one is visible. We don't need it. We don't need it. So we have just one. Okay. And the second material is essentially based on a mask. So everything is controlled by a mask. So about the weight, we have to decide where this material is used. So we need a texture, and the texture will be the mask we created before. So we can make a copy for the mask. I mean, we had before the displaced mask. Okay. Okay. And we say that this one is the weight. Okay, you see that essentially it's working just there. But if you like, you can say that it's not completely visible. And to do something like that, we can just, one of the solution can be using again another remap, and we say that the output is lower. So let's say, for example, 0.1. So you see it is partially visible. By the way, let's go to 1. Okay, now we can play with the material. Material can be really more complex than what I'm trying to do. You can use, for example, some texture, complex texture, but we are going to do essentially everything done with the procedural maps. So let's say that we have no specularity where we have sense. Okay, so no specularity. Let's go to control essentially the color. The color will be done using a multiply, because I like to use also the occlusion. So let's go for a math node. We go for a multiply, and multiply is connected to the diffuse color. Okay, so we need the occlusion. So we go to ray trace occlusion, and this one is connected to the input number 2. So you see that we are starting to see the occlusion. Occlusion needs to be tweaked a little bit, just a little bit. So we say that we have white and black, and that's right. We have the ambient, everything is right. We need just to play with radius. It can be higher, so let's say 1 meters. And if you like to have more quality, you can rise up the sampling there. Then the other map. The other map will be a mixture of noises. So I will try to make it really simple. By the way, we are going to control the color about everything with a color correction to control the saturation. So let's say that this is connected there, and the level of mixture for this color is essentially a multiply, so we can leave everything in this way. So we are mixing some maps, so we can use the blend. It's the input. Okay. The first map essentially is a mixture of textures. So let's go for noise, and we go for fractal noise and connect. So you start seeing something. Let's say that the color is not completely white. So let's say 1088 and 064. So you see something that can be a dusty color. And then the other stuff, I like to remove the turbulence and say that we have an eye contrast. Okay, so just some dust around, something like having something over the tire. but we have to change the mapping. So let's go for cylinder car. The axis can be okay, and we have to scale everything. So let's say that it's scaled based on the side, and I think that everything is set in the right way. Maybe it needs just to be moved. By the way, let's go to scale it to make really some teeny stuff. Go to 5 and 0.0002. So you see it's something really low. Okay, that's all essentially. So you see some teeny dots all over the tire. Nice. Second level, it's another fractal noise, but it is inside a blend, so it will be really complex. Let's say that we have another blend that is connected to this one, and this blend is essentially a normal with 50%, so we have 50% one map and 50% the other one. So we go for another map controlled in the same way, so we can copy the previous fractal, and this one is connected as the map 1, and we go to play with a color. So let's say 0.533, 0.5747 and 0.278. And then we go to have also the turbulence, so we have a really big color variation, and this one is bigger, so let's say 0.075, 0.08, and we say that this one is essentially a screen, so this one is in any way some addition to the other, and 100%. By the way, let's go to see just for a moment this one. Okay, so here it needs to use the other axis. I mean, it should be the x-axis. Okay, and other things, I think it should be okay. I mean, we can just scale this one a little bit. Okay. Also this one, I think it was rotated in the wrong way. Okay, so let's try to add again. And this one is a blend, but it needs to be a screen. Okay, so you see we have some dots over the other one. Second thing is the other noise, because actually we have no mixture. So let's say that we go to copy this one and Ctrl V, and we go to connect. Okay, the other map is essentially done in the same way about the UV, but we go to scale, and I like to see this map just for a moment. So this one is, let's say, 0.02 and 0.12, and then the color is different. So let's say 0.3, 0.235 and 0.17, and then we leave everything by default. So that's the color we have essentially at the moment. So let's go to set in this way. Okay, so we have some dark area, some brighter area, and some dust. Everything can be fixed and changed as you prefer. By the way, if you go there and you go to change the map in the right way, we can say, for example, that it's visible at 25%, it's still really high. Let's go lower, and you see that it's starting to be less visible, but we can decide still less. Okay, you see, so we have just a little bit of dust, and if you like, let's make it again more visible, and I like to show you how to control this map, because you know, for example, let's start with the first one. We are talking about the teeny dots, that's okay. Let's go for the second one. Let's say that here 0.75 is okay. Let's go lower there. Okay, you see that it's more like some dusty area, but it can be. So for example, if we go there for 32, you see we are scaling, and we can go for 4. Okay, you see that we have more repetition than before. We can do the same for the other. So we can do this one as 16 and this one as 2. And then we go to connect this one again. So you see it's a little bit more complex than before. And you can use more and more one inside the other to add some nice dust. This one can be, let's make a test. For example, let's say that this copy, let's say store. So this one is black, and this one is use. So you see it's a dust mask, and it will work in a different way, because we are mixing in a different way everything. Let's say 50%, maybe 25. So you see we have a different kind of visibility, you know. We can go also lower if needed. And there we add, this one is a screen, we can set to 50. And so now it is time, if we like to go back there and say that it's essentially less visible, let's go for 0.1. And you see that we have just some mask around there. But just for a moment, let's go there and let's say that we like to scale this mask just a little bit less. Let's say 0.8. Let's leave, maybe we can just scale a little bit less over the y-axis. So it will be a little bit less visible than before. Okay, you see it's essentially less visible than before, but it's really high visible. So let's go to 0.05. And here you can decide how much is visible. On the other side, if you don't want to have it, let's say that it's 0.1, so it's more visible. And we can also change the saturation. So if you like to have an higher saturation, you can do it, or if you like to have a less saturation, let's go for example to 0.8. Okay, so you have complete control over it. Okay, so you see that's how we can control, and again you can decide how you like to have it. So if you like to have something more like that, we can go a little bit more with scaling over the axis for this map. So let's say that this one is 1 and this one is, for example, 24. So it will be a little bit different. And again, to see how much it works, you can have, again, this one set to 1 to see how the mapping is working. Essentially, for example, in this time, I made a mistake I want to have it completely different, so this one needs to sorry, it's better to connect this one to have the right color variation. Okay, so if this one is 1, it's 4, okay, it is starting to be better, and this one is 3. And this one can stay. Okay, for example, and if we go to connect now, we have a mixture about something that is longer and something that is done in a different way. Again, let's connect this one, and let's say that this one is 0.1. Let's say 0.02, and then 0.02. Let's say 0.5. Okay, so you see we have really possibility to choose how we like to behave with this one. If we like to have bigger scale for both, you see that we can do it. It's not a problem. And then again, when we like to make it less visible, we have just to leave this one to 0.1. But again, here there is no the right or the wrong. You have just to decide which is the look you like to have for your tiles. For example, if this one are really new, it is still maybe a little bit too much visible. So maybe you have to go still lower to maybe 0.06. So just a little bit of subtle coloring about the side there. Okay, so Control S. Let's go, that's the type, so we can go back to be near the type. And in this case, for the camera, that's the camera type. If we go back to the depth of field, the point will be the locator DOF. So now we'll have the good visibility there, and obviously we'll have a little bit of f-stop there. So let's say maybe 4. So we have the depth of field for the tires and the back we have there. Okay. About the point of view, we can decide which one we prefer. So if we like to be really near the tire, we can do it because we have enough resolution to make it. And maybe we can change the camera. So the camera type is, let's say, lower about, 3 centimeters. Okay. Do something like that. And the other point of view is this one, where we see everything. Okay. So here, Control S, something that needs to be done is to have the right quality. And you know, if we go, let's close this one and Control S, maybe this model can be moved just a little bit because it's too similar to the other. Do something like that. Okay. So if we have something like that, you know that we can use the AV editor. Actually, I'm using some AV. You see the reflection, the transmission, but this one can be removed because we have no transmission. Actually, we have no transmission, so we can remove it. Then we have the glossy reflection, specular reflection, the diffuse reflection, eye and key, the reflection eye, and direct and indirect, and then we have the sampling. So if we go there, we have all the diagnostic, so we can see everything, how it is looking. So if we go there, you know, we have, for example, just the glossy, and we know how much sampling is going to be used and if the quality is really high. So let's say, for example, that we go to select this area. If we go to see the diffuse sample count and the glossy sample count, you see that we have a really high sampling, but we have one a really low quality because it was 0. So we have to take care about the reflection. You know, we have for sure grain, so we can go to see there, because we are not taking care to have the right quality. Maybe it's not so high visible, but when we are really near the tire, it will be visible. So we have to take care about it. So the best thing we can do, let's wait for the preview, and then we can go to play. Essentially, for example, now we see, let's go to see the final result. Okay, that's the final result. Essentially, I think we can have a really high value because you see that there we have grain, and that's because we have to take care about the grain level for each material. So it means that let's go in the tire, and the tire essentially can have an higher value. Actually, the tire has, for example, in our case, the same as the rendering, but to have a better quality, we can go there, glossy reflection, and we can have an higher value. So, for example, you have to make some tests, but we can go higher. Same for the parameters. You see that we have a really low quality inside the rendering, and that's because it's really low. And you can see there, you see that we have a lot of grain. So here you can go really high. I made some tests, and I removed the grain when I had a 16 multiplier. Okay, if you have the right multiplier, you will have also faster rendering because the sampling needs to work less, the anti-alias sampling, because you have the right sampling and the glossy reflection. And just to give you some more idea, for example, the disc, the breaking disc, you saw that we have some grain there, so it means that it needs some love. But before everything, let's go to move the texture in the right context. Okay, we were talking about the tire, and here the disc needs some love, so also there you have to use an higher level. So you have to play with it, you have to find the right level for each material. I made just some tests, and the quality we have actually that we are writing together is not bad. In some ways you will have a slower rendering time, and in other ways you will have a faster rendering. It depends on the moment, you know. It depends on what you are doing. So for example, so this one is really low. I made some tests, and 4 it's not bad. By the way, we made some adjustments, so actually we have a nice render level. Okay, so in this way you are ready to render the final image. So guys, I think that's all. It was really simple, you know. It took a little bit of time to explain as I done this shading. You can reach the same level or better level using different techniques. So it's just one technique to create this kind of shading, and I hope it's really useful for you because I'm really loving to work on photoreal rendering, car rendering with Clarisse. So just the last thing, again, if we go here inside the lighting, you know, we can change the lighting to see how it is looking. So let's see the one with a Terragen map. If you like, obviously, you can also rotate the map to find a new lighting condition. And by the way, it is really nice. If you like to have more lighting, remember to rise up the exponent there, the exposure, sorry. And also this material. That's the black. Okay, yes. So if you like to see the sunset, that's the sunset. So you see you have some really nice lighting coming from the side. Just to make a test, Control S, just to make a test, if we go there and we go to rotate over the y-axis, you see that we have the lighting that is completely changing. Now we have the sun back of us. So you see that, for example, now we have the sun that is coming from the side. So you have the possibility to find some really nice lighting condition. It depends just on what you are trying to achieve. Okay, so this one, for example, seems really nice. You have some really nice reflection over the tire, and we can see also with the other map to see with the Terragen one. Here it works nice. Let's see with the interior one. This one is good. It's really not bad. Also this one, you know. Okay, so guys, that's all. I hope to meet you really soon for more tutorials and more courses and more video lessons for Clarisse. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.